BTT, which is Bhaktivedanta, Book Trust, Global Marketing, Communication and Innovation Department. And in professional life, like I said, she's academically a brilliant student herself, but not just a student, but an academically a principal and a founder for Vedic Roots Montessori Academy, which is a private school and a daycare based out at different locations in Scarborough, giving all the students, all the young students, the beautiful knowledge of Vedic. But of course, it's a full school, I have to say. I meet a lot of parents who say, our kids are born and raised here, we need to give them the right education, culture, conducive environment. This particular school is definitely that one-stop solution, so you should talk to Mataji for that. But for today, we're going to have a beautiful session which is going to be on Read, Realize and Radiate. So let's hear it up for Shyama and Mataji. Everyone, give her a huge Hari Bol. Thank you, Mataji. We welcome you.
Hare Krishna. We will start today by chanting our Jai Radha Madhava prayers that Srila Prabhupada instructed us to begin classes with. And I hope you will all join with me. Thank you. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Prabhu mentioned, my name is Shyama Mohini Devi Dasi, and I'm very honored here to be able to serve you and serve Srila Prabhupada by glorifying the Bhagavad Gita. We're all very fortunate here today that we have an oasis, a place that we can come to every week if we're fortunate, or whenever time allows, that we're able to come here, take association, take prasada, take darshan of the deities, hear the holy name. But if we look around, well, outside the temple, and even in our own lives, it doesn't take a PhD to understand that times around us are not very happy. If we look around in our lives, even in most of our lives, over the last several years, few years, whatever our scope may be, we can see that there are many, many challenges. Anybody agree, or is it just me and I have the wrong glasses on? You know, there can be challenges related to our own material situation, study permits, jobs, PRs, citizenship, or if you're well established, you know, there may be other challenges like health, relationships, family challenges, you know, children growing up not listening to you. Anybody else have that issue, or again, is it just me? So there's lots of challenges. Statistically speaking, currently 1 in every 5 people in the world deal with mental health issues. 1 in every 5. That's scary. And this is only those who have officially accepted it, let alone the battles we fought behind closed doors with me and my phone and nowhere else to go. Speaking of violence in schools, in the last 50 years, the violence in schools has grown 12 times. So like I said, it doesn't take a PhD to look around and see that the situation that we have in this world is dwindling. The happiness, that surge, one after the other, okay, I'm going to accomplish this, but what happens next? That surge, that thirst, it's there, but is it quenched? Not really. What is the solution? What is the solution for these problems that we face? Can we look upon science? Can we look upon any of these industries that produce products that they then recall? Or can we look at some of the scientific discoveries which then have side effects? Where should we go to for finding a solution to our problems? And that is where the Vedic wisdom comes into place. Because the Vedic wisdom is beyond the realm of the material world. In this material world, which is where all of us exist, at least physically, there's many, many limitations. People are prone to commit mistakes. No matter how much you try, I don't think there is anyone here who can say I've never made even one mistake in my life, intentionally or unintentionally. We all make mistakes. We're prone to cheat. We're prone to lie. So all these mistakes are what our constitution is made of, because, you know, to err is human. So whatever comes from our human mind, or human hands, or human intellect, is prone to error. So when we look for a solution that is permanent, we have to look beyond the realm of what our imperfect senses, our imperfect mind, our imperfect research can give us. And that's where the Vedas come into being. They are called Aparashaya, which means beyond the realm of something that is created by us. So Vedic wisdom offers solution to our challenges. Now, if you were like well, I wouldn't like to say you're average, you're definitely above average, that's why you chose to spend your Sunday evening, yeah? But if you look at the vast body of Vedic knowledge, there's a lot of information. And there's a lot of potential to get lost. What should I be doing, you know, in my busy life with a job or with a high performing or high demanding study schedule? What should I be doing? And that's where, to our benefit, the Bhagavad Gita was spoken. The Bhagavad Gita is the essence of all Vedic wisdom. It is said in the Gita Mahatma that the entire Upanishads can be compared to a cow. Sarva Upanishadu Gavo Dugdha Gopala Nandana. So all the Upanishads can be compared to a cow, and Lord Shri Krishna is the milkman, or the cowherd man rather. He's milking the cow because there's a calf. So for the cow to give milk, there always has to be a calf. And the calf in this case is Arjuna. Because Arjuna asked his questions at the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, in order to enlighten him, in order to solve his dilemma, answered those questions. But who benefited? All of us. Sudhir Bhokta. All of us who opened our hearts and our minds to the Bhagavad Gita benefited. So that is where this whole special, the Bhagavad Gita, the cornerstone of Vedic wisdom. If there is one scripture that is referred to, spoken by people from all walks of life, people in different demographics, it is the Bhagavad Gita. And today, through this presentation, is my humble attempt to bring forth some points that will help us go a little bit deeper into the Bhagavad Gita and take Bhagavad Gita beyond the textbook, beyond the book, into our lives through read, realize, and radiate. Earlier when I started, I was discussing some of the challenges that the world around us faces. Thank you, Prabhu. The world around us faces. And most of you, and even the little kids, I think, would know that when we talk about environmental protection, there's often 3 R's that are spoken about. Who knows what the 3 R's are? Yes, go ahead. Very good. I really appreciate that because you're solving the real environmental problems. But for the external part, when they ask you to conserve the environment, what are the 3 R's that people speak about? Come on, everybody. Yes. Yes, they speak about reducing, reusing, and recycling. So it's the external environment. But our scriptures tell us that external is a manifestation of the internal. And I'm sure you've heard that when you squeeze a lime, what comes out? Lime juice, not orange juice, right? So whatever is inside is what comes out. So if we really want to solve the crisis in the world, we first have to fix what is inside. And that's why we take the 3 R's and we apply them to the Bhagavad Gita to create a better environment inside and then take it outside. So young man over there, you did really good because that's how we can really solve the environmental problem. So thank you. Can we hear it for him, please? Thank you so much. So, thank you, Prabhu. I got it. Thank you. So, the Bhagavad Gita, as I mentioned, is also known as the Gita Upanishad. And it is the essence of the Vedic knowledge and one of the most important Upanishads in the Vedic literature. It can be referred to as a guide to our lives. How can it be used as a guide? To solve our questions, our challenges in life. So, the main protagonist of the story, Arjuna, is confused, is lost, and he's standing at a battlefield. Speaking of action, there can be nothing more action filled than than a battlefield. So Arjuna is standing there, and then he is in a dilemma. His duty, which is to fight and to establish righteousness, or his desire to be the nice person, let it go because he doesn't want to fight with his family. Which one should he choose? And he told Krishna that I can't deal with this. Can you guide me? And at that moment when the Bhagavad Gita was spoken, in answering his questions, Krishna provided enlightenment to all of us. And that's why the Bhagavad Gita can be used as a compass, a GPS of our lives. Like I mentioned earlier, many famous people in all walks of life, and especially, the famous ones are up here. People from all walks of life are here who read the Bhagavad Gita and who endorse the Bhagavad Gita as something that has caused a revolution in their own lives. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about is read the Gita. There's more than 500 versions of the Bhagavad Gita available in the market out there. So how do we decide which Gita to read? And this is where the special mention of Sampradaya comes in. If you were to go to get a degree, or study something, you look for authenticity, you look for somebody who's accredited, you look for somebody who's learned, especially if you're learning a trade of some sorts. You have to learn from somebody who's done it themselves. So in our case, in the spiritual quest, there's the mention of the word Sampradaya. Sampradaya, the unbroken discipline succession from teacher to student. And this Bhagavad Gita that we have with us, the Bhagavad Gita as it is, comes in an unbroken chain of disciplic succession, all the way to Krishna and coming to us through Srila Prabhupada, who translated the Bhagavad Gita painstakingly and made it available not just in English, but in more than 70 languages all over the world. And till date, more than 500 million copies of the Bhagavad Gita have been distributed just since 1969. So when in doubt, we must always go to something that's authentic. The Bhagavad Gita was spoken by Sri Krishna, and the words that we read should be the same that Lord Krishna has spoken and how he intended to speak. Not somebody else's concoction, not somebody else's interpretation. So this Bhagavad Gita as it is, by Srila Prabhupada, is the Bhagavad Gita that speaks about Krishna just as he wanted. His instructions just as he intended to give them. And for those of you who don't have a copy of this Bhagavad Gita, there's several endorsements from universities in North America where the Bhagavad Gita is used as a textbook. In the Bhagavad Gita, the 700 verses in the 18 chapters, there is the Sanskrit shlokas, so you can see that there are Sanskrit shlokas. There is transliteration, which means you and I and other people who don't know Sanskrit can read it. Then there is a word-for-word explanation, so you can actually understand what each word means. And then there's an explanation of what the intended meaning is. Because for those of you who are into a little bit of academic work, you know that Einstein gave this very famous equation, E equals mc squared. How many people here know this? Okay. So who understands what it means without an explanation? That's the importance of the purport. It allows us to understand how to use the shloka, what does it mean, what is the relevance in my life, and how I can apply it. So that's why when you read the Bhagavad Gita, we read what is authentic. Anyway, we're so short on time. Anybody have extra time here? Anybody have enough time here? Yes? Oh, that's good. Please share tips on time management with us. Thank you. But as it is, time is a rare commodity. So when we have time, we must use it for the right resource. Get the right Bhagavad Gita and read it. So the Bhagavad Gita as it is. A simple way of reading the Bhagavad Gita is to read one chapter a day, which means you can read either the Sanskrit shlokas or the English translations every day. It's a worldwide initiative called CHAD, chapter a day. And what that does is it puts us into transcendental consciousness every day, at least once a day. Because sometimes we don't have enough time to read the whole thing, attend classes every day. But if we are in touch with that live wire of spiritual vibration by reading Sri Krishna's words, by reading his instructions to Arjuna, then we are connected. And that connection keeps the path open for spiritual enlightenment. It's like when you make yogurt. How many of you here have ever made yogurt? Great. So when you make yogurt, you typically take a pot of milk, you boil it, you cool it down, and then you add something without which yogurt will never be made, the yogurt starter. And that little spoon of yogurt can actually convert the whole pot of milk into yogurt. That's the value of putting a little bit in consistently. Every day coming in touch with the Bhagavad Gita. If you're too busy, you don't have time to read the whole chapter, read one shloka. Just something, get the starter in. It'll start to work. It will give us the vibration. So the next step after reading something is realizing, which means that how can we understand the Bhagavad Gita? Because just reading will not help, but reading is needed to realizing. We can't say that, oh, I don't realize anything, so I shouldn't read. One is a prerequisite to the other, and our endeavor to realize is blessed when we endeavor to read. There are 5 topics in the Bhagavad Gita. The first one is, who am I? So I am a spirit soul, eternal servant of Krishna, and my job is to serve Krishna. And that's where my happiness lies. Who am I? The Atma. Where am I in this material world, which is the Prakriti? The third thing is, what am I doing here? So what activities, what should I do? What should I not do? What happens if I do something? All that, the science of karma, is explained in the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita also talks about time, kala, and finally it talks about Ishvara, Krishna. So these five main themes of the Bhagavad Gita, my 5 main themes are explained in the Bhagavad Gita. And that's why I made the analogy of the GPS. Because for the GPS, the first thing the GPS tells you is where you are. And then how to navigate out of that place. So we are here, and as we had a brief mention earlier, it isn't a very nice place to be. In fact, the Bhagavad Gita describes that it is dukhalayam ashashvatam. It's full of misery. How can we get out of it? That's also enunciated in the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita talks about the cycle of birth and death. So we're all going through a journey. We're changing bodies. We were different 10 years ago, and 10 years later we are going to be different. But there's something in us that stays the same, and that something is the soul, that spiritual spark. A learned person always sees everybody, not just human beings, but everybody, any form of life, as something which has the spiritual spark, the soul, and therefore there is no discrimination based on how you look, how strong you are, and how much you know, how much money you have, and it attacks the problem of discrimination at its root. This is the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita also tells us that we are a passenger riding on a chariot, and our senses are like the horses in the chariot. Anybody driven, well, let's see, anybody driven a chariot before? Or sat on a horse cart ride? Good. How many horses did you have, Vitulbhakta? 2. And were they focused horses or were they distracted? They were focused, so that's why Vitulbhakta is sitting here today. If you're ever sitting on a horse chariot and you have horses that are riding the chariot and they're constantly distracted, one horse wants to go there, one horse wants to go here, and another horse wants to eat something else, will you ever get to your destination? So in our case, our senses are like the horses. So you see in that picture, if you can, otherwise these pictures are from the Bhagavad Gita, so please pick it up. There is the eyes, the nose, the mouth, and all those different senses, ears. And the ears want to hear something, the mouth wants to taste something, the nose wants to smell something, but it's the job of the intelligence to control those senses so that we stay focused on the path. And how do we control those senses? Krishna explains, by practice and detachment. So it's all there in the Bhagavad Gita for us to understand and then apply. Another very famous teaching of the Bhagavad Gita is happiness and distress are concomitant factors of the material nature. Just like we don't ask for happiness or we don't ask for sadness, we also, but again, I'm going to rephrase that. Just like we don't ask for sadness, but we get it anyway, similarly, the happiness comes of its own accord as well. We can demand the seasons to change, but right now we're getting into the winter and it's not going to change, no matter how much you want. It's like that. The Bhagavad Gita explains that the happiness and distress are just like the changing seasons, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. Because if we're disturbed by the weather every day, we're not going to go anywhere in life. The seasons are going to change on their own. The real cause of one's difficulty in the hard struggle for life may be found in one's forgetfulness of the relationship with the Supreme Lord. So the real cause of problems is that we have a misplaced identity. If we have a fish, the fish belongs in water. But if I take the fish to the Eaton Center and give them a big credit card, I don't even know, gold, like some gold card or platinum card, with $35,000, $40,000 limit. I say, okay, go live your life, buy whatever you need. Is the fish going to be happy? If the fish is an illusion, they may go try shopping one store or 2. But they know it's not where they belong. There's something missing. That's what our lives are like. We're looking for happiness in the wrong places. This degree, that big house, that promotion, that fancy car, but there's still a hole. It's because we're looking for happiness in the wrong place. And the Bhagavad Gita explains that that rightful position is in relationship with the whole, in relationship with Krishna. Bhagavad Gita talks about living life in a balance. Krishna explains that a yogi is one who doesn't eat too much, but also doesn't eat little. Doesn't sleep too much, but also sleeps enough. So Bhagavad Gita talks about self-help, how we can live a balanced life, how we can actually be happy. And mind management. We can't change what happens to us. We can only change how we encounter what happens to us. And the Bhagavad Gita talks about not being disturbed by the different changes, not getting like I explained, using practice and detachment in our journey. Okay, I read the Bhagavad Gita, why am I still disturbed? It doesn't happen like that. We have to practice and we have to be detached with the results. And finally, when we also await or follow the path of the Bhagavad Gita, then there is an aspect of mercy that descends upon us. Unlike material qualifications where you give the test, and the degree is your rightful claim. Spiritual knowledge is transferred with the mood of the practitioner. So we may have read the Bhagavad Gita hundreds of times, but we may be far away from the mood of the Bhagavad Gita. So the realization will not descend. We have to try our best, we have to read with a sincere attitude, we have to try to apply, and we have to beg for the mercy of the Lord, of the devotees, so that we can actually realize it and that knowledge can uplift our heart. That cannot be demanded. It only descends. And a very special way by which this mercy descends is by radiating this knowledge, by sharing it. Because when we share something, it grows, especially spiritual knowledge. The most happiness in our life comes when we do something for other people. In fact, these days scientific studies tell us that if you're depressed, find somebody and do something for them. In the spiritual sense, Lord Sri Krishna himself says that for one who explains the supreme secret to somebody, he is very, very dear to me. So to become dear to Lord Krishna, it is important that we share the Bhagavad Gita. If we just look at it from not such a high spiritual level, but at a very mundane level, if you have two kids, and one of them is, not following, not listening, and really rebelling. And one of the others, and your other child, goes to this one and says, you know what, Mommy's talking sense. You should listen to her. Explains it to him in a way that he can understand. And then takes him back to the parents. Do you think the parents will be so, so grateful to that child who brought this lost child back? That's the sharing of Bhagavad Gita. Everybody in the material world is essentially suffering because the knowledge is misplaced, our search is misplaced. And the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita gives us that peace because it fits the missing puzzle. Remember that fish out of the water? It didn't need the gold card, it just needed water. So by sharing the Bhagavad Gita, we're introducing everybody or rather not even introducing, we're reconnecting them to the spiritual knowledge. Therefore, when we do that, Lord Krishna becomes very pleased, just like that parent whose one child had gone a little bit off track. Coming back to the Sampradaya, you saw this earlier. So we come in this Sampradaya, which is, like I said, Srila Prabhupada belongs to the Sampradaya where the Bhagavad Gita comes in an unbroken disciplic succession. And one of the very amazing qualities of our Sampradaya is that there's a lot of focus on sharing the Gita. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted everybody to have spiritual knowledge because he knew that the only lack in people's lives is the spiritual happiness. And so he instructed that he wanted everybody to be immersed in the inundation of love of Godhead. Srila Prabhupada, our founder Acharya, when he came to America, he only brought books with him. He didn't bring the spices, he didn't bring an extra bank draft to cash out when there's an emergency. He brought books, and the first American currency he got was by distributing those books to the captain of the ship in which he traveled. And he brought these books, he painstakingly translated them so that people can get knowledge and get out of the misery and the suffering of this world. And he wanted that we should print these books and distribute them profusely. Again, he endorsed this idea that books should be distributed and Lord Chaitanya's mission should be shared all over the world. With this, I'd like to introduce that at this time of the year, Gita Jayanti is coming up soon in the month of December, the day when the Bhagavad Gita was spoken. Annually, all over the world, there is a campaign, a spiritual campaign focused on sharing the Bhagavad Gita. The name of the campaign is Live to Give, because by giving, we grow. So when we share spiritual wisdom with others, we get the mercy of Krishna, and actually our own realization increases. Because when you see how the Bhagavad Gita changes somebody else's life, you want to read it. What is it in there that is changing somebody else's life? So this year, the Live to Give campaign, the theme of the campaign is to make Earth smart again. So the 3 R's to help the environment inside and therefore change the environment outside. The global goal this year for the Live to Give campaign is to distribute at least 4.2 million Gitas all over the world. And you go. And Team Toronto, which is a part of this global team of people who are trying to bring the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita all over the world, our goal is to distribute at least 28,000 Bhagavad Gitas. There are many, many ways in which you can get involved. But before that, I'm just going to repeat. There were 3 R's, remember? So the first way in which you can get involved is to read the Bhagavad Gita. And I'm sure those of you who were here last Sunday, you must remember that there was a very noble person, anonymous sponsor, who promised Bhagavad Gitas to anybody who was visiting you last time and didn't have a copy. So maybe one more time we can thank that sponsor, because he not only encouraged everybody to read, but he was radiating the Bhagavad Gita. So read, realize, and radiate. So the way you can get involved is first read, then the second way you can get involved is come out with us. Yes, this picture is from yesterday. We set up a table at a grocery store, and this devotee here is Mohini Mataji. She was setting up a table and they distributed books there. Then this is from another store. You can see Devi Mataji and Pradeep Prabhu, and you can see the glow on their face. And I thought it was like glow by giving. So the power of giving is really, cannot be overemphasized. Daan is a very precious thing in our culture of Vedic wisdom, and especially Vidya Daan is very, very special, because you're empowering somebody, you're interjecting in somebody's karma. Everything else, everybody else has to get the consequences of their karma. Whatever actions they've done, they're going to have to repay for it, even if you feed them for 1 day, 10 days, 1 year. But if it is in their karma to suffer, they will suffer. But when you bring in the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita, of the Vedic scriptures, it interjects the cycle of karma. It gives them the knowledge through which they can break through the cycle of karma and be established in an eternal relationship with Krishna, of service with Krishna. And that guarantees their end of suffering. Nothing else, nothing else. So you can get involved by actually coming out and distributing books with us. It's a lot of fun starting now till the end of the year. Every weekend we're going to be going out door to door. If the weather is good, we will go on the streets, or maybe in the stores. You can come out with us, or you can distribute on your own. Take some books, the Bhagavad Gita, share with your family, your friends, your colleagues. It's the season of giving, and it's a special time because it's also Gita Jayanti. So this is a QR code for a WhatsApp group that we have that Prabhu was mentioning earlier. He was mentioning about the WhatsApp group. This group has updates for you about any outings that we will go on. You will also be able to catch a live report on where we are at with our scores. I must warn you that there's a lot of activity at this time of the year because it's our busiest marathon time, but there's a lot of bliss. And it compares, please excuse me for those of you who don't like cricket, it compares to a very high-profile final cricket match, if you want. So transcendental entertainment as well. Sorry, okay, everybody okay? All right. So please come out, get involved. You can do it on your own. If you need training, you don't know how to introduce the Bhagavad Gita, we're happy to do that. There's many, many resources that can empower you. But the first thing is the desire. Once we have the desire, everything else will follow. Thank you. So, another way in which you can get involved is the Shastra Daan program. The program that allows you to give a gift of knowledge. Over the last 15 years, we have been doing this Shastra Daan program where just in Toronto, we have placed more than 150,000 books in more than 3,000 venues. These venues include hospitals, motels, correction homes, the RCMP, senior care homes, and so much more. So if you're not able to go distribute books yourself, you give Shasadan, you support, you sponsor books, and devotees will go out and distribute books on your behalf. And these books will help change many, many lives. So through this time, today is the official launch of the marathon at Iskcon, Toronto. And for the next 7 weeks till 31st December, we will be making repeated announcements, reminding everybody of the Bhagavad Gita, reminding everybody of this Live to Give campaign, also known as Prabhupada Marathon. It's a marathon that takes us through very exciting moments and times and real transcendental bliss. So I invite you all to come on this journey, read, realize, and radiate the Bhagavad Gita. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So let's thank Mataji with a huge Hari Bol. Let's put our hands up in the air and say Hari Bol! Hari Bol! One more time, Hari Bol! Thank you so much, Mataji, for the wonderful session. I would request you to wait here for a moment. Mataji mentioned initially when she started the session, and if I can quickly say that, she mentioned that we have this beautiful Bhagavad Gita, and then she was talking about various things. She said there are 500 versions of the Gita. Do you remember that? She said that? And she also explained us about Sampradaya, which is an unbroken disciplined succession, where she said that Bhagavad Gita, as it is there, 500 million copies of Bhagavad Gita as it is, has been distributed across the world so far. And this year, the worldwide target, she said, a transcendental target is 4.2 million. Would that be right? So anyone who tells me what's the Toronto Temple target gets a special gift from Mataji. No, you can't. Okay, anyone. Okay, for those who are coming here for the first or the second time.
That's not fair.
That's not fair? Okay, those who are coming for the first or the second time, you have to put up your hands and say. Coming for the first or second time? Okay, yeah, what's the answer? 28,000. There's a special book called Match This Gift. So Mataji can give you that book. And you can also tell us how you'll be contributing to 28,000 by reading, by distributing, however. But okay, so thank you, Mataji. Okay, she also mentioned there are 5 beautiful. So she mentioned about chat. What is chat? You can come here. So she also mentioned about chat, which is chapter a day. Right? And she gave example of the yoga starter. And then she mentioned that there are 5 important topics of the Bhagavad Gita. Anyone who's coming for the first or the second time would tell me what are those 5 topics? Okay, collectively, maybe you can say collectively, anyone. But I don't think I'll be able to share the prize collectively. What's your name, Mataji? What's your name?
Mataji, what's your name? Nilanjana.
Nilanjana, okay, Haribo! Thank you for attentive hearing. So, yeah, it's the 5 topics. You coming for the first or second time? First time, okay, what are those 5 topics?
Who I am.
Who I am, yeah, okay.
Where I am.
Where I am, very good, yeah.
Where I belong.
Where do I belong? Is that what that? No?
Where I am.
Where I am, that's the
You can do teamwork.
teamwork, yeah, teamwork. Yeah, go ahead.
Karma.
Yeah, what activities? Okay, that's good, karma, good, yeah. What I've been doing, that's the same thing. What, yeah. Time, okay, for how long I've been there. What next? What? Ishwar, okay, Ishwar is there anything beyond? Okay, so many of them said, that, okay, you decide whom are you giving one gift here. It's difficult for me. If I say so, they might beat me up later. Okay, no? Okay, maybe we started with her. She's coming for the first time, so we'll give it to her. Okay, thank you so much. And you came here to Krishna, feature Gopinath, and you get a beautiful book called On the Way to Krishna. Mataji, would you? No, you give it. So, thank you for coming to Shri Radha Feature Gopinath Sabor. Okay, we'll continue with this session, but I want to make a few announcements here. And thank you. Mataji, what's your name? Ankita, and what's yours? She said, I'm not interested. Inaya? Okay, Inaya. Thank you, Ankita Mataji and Inaya. On that note, I have a few quick announcements to make, but I'm sure you're all familiar with Hanuman Prabhu. He has been helping us in Prashadam distribution for all the Sunday feast programs and for all the feast, for all the big major programs for the last 3 decades. So Hanuman Prabhu's one of the elder sisters passed away in Sri Lanka on the day of Ekadashi. So we would like to pray for her. So let's all chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, full mantra one time for her. Everyone together. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you so much. We pray for the departed soul and his strength to Hanuman Prabhu, who has been so wonderfully serving our community. Okay, so Krishna Fun School. I did an announcement about Krishna Fun School last week. Anyone remembers that?